Hey guys, I figured to start off the channel I would do a top 10 list, the top 10 of 2011, so my 10 favorite games. Starting with, of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think this game has probably the best fighting system of any fighter game ever made. The one problem that I've always had with it is it really doesn't have a story. Now I know most people think it doesn't need a story. It does. All games need stories. Stories just drag you into the game, and they just take its replay value through the roof. If you want to know how a story ends, you're going to keep playing it. The other problem that I always had with the game, it gives you everything at the beginning. I don't want a game to do that. I want a game to give you one character, and then you have to unlock the rest. This way you keep playing it. You don't just get bored of it after the first 5 minutes playing your favorite character. Now, flipping directions completely, it's Dark Souls. While Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was a nice, happy little fighter game that you play with your friends, Dark Souls is a game that you play all alone, and it will make you cry. It is really fun, though, and probably the most rewarding game I've ever played. Which does put it on my list, although, okay, there are games that hold your hand, and games that punch you in the face. I think that there would have been a happy medium between just throwing you into a circle, saying pick a direction, and leaving it up to you to find out which one you can actually take, and then giving you a marker and telling you exactly where to find everything. Stuff like that I never liked about the game, but all in all, the game's very fun. It would have been much higher and probably been my favorite game of the year if it actually had multiplayer. The multiplayer it has now is a joke. I mean multiplayer with your friends. Imagine going into a boss fight against a dragon with 3 of your friends. That's the multiplayer this game needs. If it had had that, I think this would be one of the best games of all time. My next game, Modern Warfare 3. I've probably spent more time playing this game than anything else. Not because the game is really good, or I love the story, or anything like that. No, it's just an easy pick-up-and-play game. It is the fast, pointless, fun game. And that's the thing that I think Battlefield was always missing, was in Modern Warfare 3, it does come down to your skill. If you are the better player, you are probably going to win. In Battlefield 3, you always seem to be coming up against things you can't count. If you're a sniper, you're going to run into a tank. If you're an engineer, you're going to run into a sniper. So, Call of Duty, I always thought pulled off the multiplayer better, so that's why I'm putting Call of Duty on the list, and Battlefield's not. Number 7. Armored Core 4 Answers. Now, the thing that's strong about this game is the boss fights. The boss fights are over-the-top crazy. You fight things 100 times your size. You fight giant buildings. You fight flying platforms. You fight everything as this tiny little mech. And it's just this feeling of power and the feeling of accomplishment you get after you bring down a giant city all by yourself that no other game, other than Dark Souls probably, and maybe World of Warcraft Endgame, seem to get. It just makes you feel good about yourself. Now, in terms of actual multiplayer, Gears probably has the best team play, as it basically forces you to play as a team. When you join a game, because every life counts, you work with your teammates. And the small things like marking your enemies really go a long way in supporting your team. It gets on my list as number 6, almost based on its team play alone. Although this game does have its problems, the sawed-off shotgun is way overpowered. Problems like that take a game that could be excellent, and I think really hurt it. If they just patched the guns, which they should have done in the first month, it would be a so much stronger of a game. Halfway done. Number 5 goes to Batman Arkham City. Now, the fighting in this game was incredibly fluid, and most of the game's gameplay and story were very strong. Now, I felt that the Clayface thing could have been added on to, and that they could have done more with it, but still, it was a very strong title that I'll keep playing for years. Number 4 goes to Frozen Synapse. This is the only indie title on my list, but it's well worth it. Now, what you do is this is a very strong turn-based shooter. The point of the game is to try to figure out what your enemy's going to do, and what the best counter is. This can get very funny, but it also takes some time. This is one of the only games I've ever played where you can play it via email. Now, this will be the game I give away for free at the end of the month, but before then, I would say to go over to the website and pick up the free trial. You'll enjoy it. Number 3 is Portal 2. I don't think I really need to explain Portal 2, but if you haven't played it yet, it's well worth picking up. It is the most hilarious game I've ever played, and spawned, I think, about 50 memes. The game can get a little annoying about halfway through. Well, other than the tiny sections of the game where you're under the laboratory and not in it, it's very fun, and I think well worth it. Number 2 is Skyrim. Yeah, I don't think I need to give a review of Skyrim. This has great visuals, a good story, a great open world, and probably the best music of any game I've ever played. Now, its story is not as strong as Oblivion's, but still, it's one of the best games I've ever played. It was a game that I was looking forward to for months, and it didn't disappoint. If you do not own it, first off, I want to know why, but you should definitely pick it up. And my favorite game of 2011 has to go to Starcraft 2. Now, I know that this game didn't come out in 2011, but still, I had more fun with this game than any other game this year. I go on it almost every day, I play it all the time, and its multiplayer is very strong. It has 3 different classes to choose from, all equally balanced, but the game's strength doesn't come in its regular multiplayer, but in its modding community. You can go online and play Battlecraft, or Nexus Wars, or any of the other thousands of games that are equally as fun. And that's why it was my favorite game to play in 2011. See you all next time.